My fiancé demanded, "I want a $300,000 wedding or no wedding at all." I replied, "Then there won't be one. I can't put myself in a lifelong debt." So, I canceled the venue, got a refund, and 72 hours later, her mom called me begging. She looked at me like she was making the most reasonable demand in the world. "I want a $300,000 wedding, or there won't be a wedding at all." No hesitation. No discussion. Just a deadline disguised as a proposal. I stared at her for a long second, searching for any trace of the woman I thought I was marrying. All I saw was entitlement, draped in designer expectations. So I replied just as calmly, "Then there won't be one." I stood up from that cafe table, heart pounding, not from heartbreak, but from realization. This wasn't love anymore. This was negotiation. And I wasn't about to bankrupt myself for a party that meant more to her Instagram than our actual future. That night, I canceled the venue and every vendor tied to it. Got back what I could. Closed the door she left wide open with her ultimatum. 72 hours later, her mom called me in tears. Not angry. Not blaming. Begging. But what they didn't understand was this. When love comes with a price tag, walking away isn't loss. It's freedom. At first, wedding planning was exciting. We were both involved, choosing colors, discussing venues, tasting cakes. She'd light up talking about walking down the aisle, and I genuinely believed we were building something special together. But somewhere along the way, it stopped being us and started being her. The decisions became one-sided. She'd decide and then inform me. Things I thought were optional turned into non-negotiables. A live band instead of a DJ, it's classier. Imported flowers from Europe, I deserve the best. A custom-built photo booth, a 15-tier cake, designer bridesmaids' dresses, they'll all remember it forever. I started doing the math, quietly. What was supposed to be a beautiful day was turning into a financial monster. I gently brought it up once, mentioned setting a realistic budget. She laughed. "You're not poor. Don't start acting like it." That's when I knew this wasn't just about the wedding. It was about control, status, and image. She wasn't marrying me for a life together. She was marrying a fantasy, and I was expected to foot the bill. Her vision of marriage started to look more like a red carpet event than a sacred vow. And slowly, my excitement started turning into dread. It all came to a head on a random Tuesday night. We were sitting in her living room, flipping through a luxury wedding magazine she had practically dog-eared cover to cover. She was listing off vendors, none local, all expensive. Then she paused, looked me dead in the eye, and said, "I've added everything up. For the wedding I deserve, we need at least $300,000. I blinked. 300,000? I wasn't sure I heard her right. She didn't even flinch. "Yes. And I'm not compromising. If you truly love me, you'll make it happen. Otherwise, there's no point in continuing." That was the moment everything cracked. She wasn't asking, she was delivering an ultimatum. $300K or no wedding at all. There was no conversation about finances, future goals, or what debt might do to us. No care for my student loans, my savings, or my long-term stability. Just pay or lose me. She expected fear, desperation, maybe a promise to figure it out. But what she got was silence, and then the faintest smile. Because in that moment, I didn't feel pressure. I felt clarity. She valued the event more than the commitment. And no vow was worth signing with a pen dipped in debt. She waited, staring at me like she'd just laid down the winning hand in some twisted emotional poker game. She fully expected me to panic, to beg, to negotiate, to ask for time or offer to take out loans. But I didn't. I just said, calmly and without blinking, "Then there won't be a wedding." At first, she laughed, like I was joking. "Come on, don't be dramatic," she smirked. But I didn't smile back. I repeated myself, slowly, clearly. "I'm not going into lifelong debt for one day of appearances. I won't do it. And if that's a deal breaker, then I guess this is where it ends." Her smile faded instantly. You see, she had gotten used to me saying yes. Used to me giving in when she pushed hard enough. But this time, I didn't flinch. I wasn't being cold. I wasn't angry. I was just done. And that calm. That's what shook her. Because there's nothing more terrifying to someone who thrives on control than realizing the other person no longer fears losing them. I wasn't raising my voice or pleading. I was making a decision, and she could feel it. She thought the silence that followed was me processing. It wasn't. It was me letting go. The moment I hung up the phone with the venue manager, I exhaled like I hadn't breathed in weeks. It was official. The booking was gone, the deposit refunded, the contract terminated. And strangely, it didn't feel like a loss. It felt like defusing a bomb that had been ticking louder with every passing day. The venue was beautiful, a hilltop estate with sweeping views, overpriced chandeliers, and a wine list longer than my car loan documents. It was the kind of place you booked not for intimacy, but for spectacle. For Instagram. For her. I had signed the paperwork with a smile weeks ago, because that's what love meant back then. Saying yes, even when it hurt. But now, with clarity in my chest and a phone in my hand, I was saying something different. I was saying no. Every click, every email, every please confirm cancellation, was a step back toward sanity. The florist. Gone. The string quartet. Cancelled. The dress fitting I was scheduled to attend with her. Skipped. I wasn't unraveling a wedding anymore. I was peeling off a performance I never wanted to be part of. There was no guilt. No second-guessing. Just relief. Because canceling the venue didn't feel like ending a celebration. It felt like stopping a slow-motion financial wreck before it hit me head-on. I expected rage. Maybe a storm of texts, a furious phone call, or at least a dramatic visit demanding answers. But instead, she went quiet. Dead quiet. No calls. No messages. Just silence so sharp, it almost sounded like strategy. And then, she logged on. Her Instagram story lit up like a Christmas tree. Black and white quotes like, "Sometimes, love means letting go," and "You can't force someone to value you." No tags. No names. Just enough breadcrumbs for people to start guessing who the villain was. A few hours later came the soft focus selfie. Eyes red, captioned, "Trying to stay strong through heartbreak." Comments flooded in. "You deserve better. Men don't appreciate real love. You're glowing, even when hurting." She wasn't reaching out to me, she was reaching out to an audience. Painting herself as the abandoned bride. The innocent dreamer with the greedy fiancé who just couldn't commit. What she didn't post. The $300,000 demand. The ultimatum. The part where she said, "No wedding, first." To her, perception mattered more than truth. And when reality didn't go her way, she crafted a new one. Not to heal, but to harvest sympathy. But I didn't engage. Because nothing silences fake heartbreak louder than being completely ignored by the one who knows the real story. At first, the group chats went quiet. No one said a word, not the mutual friends, not the groomsmen, not even the people who had once hyped up our engagement like it was a fairy tale. Then slowly, like cracks forming in a dam, the reactions started. Some of her friends unfollowed me. Others posted vague stories. "Real love doesn't run when it gets hard." I recognized the shade. I expected it. After all, she was telling everyone she'd been abandoned, left heartbroken days before her dream wedding. She didn't mention the six-figure ultimatum, or how I'd refused to trade my financial freedom for her fantasy. But not everyone was buying her version. Two of her friends reached out to me privately. The first text read, "Hey, I know it's not my place, but just so you know, you're not crazy." We told her the budget was extreme. The second message? Even more telling. "I'm sorry. She's been spiraling since you canceled everything. You did the right thing, even if she can't see it." Those quiet voices? They meant more than any public defense ever could. Because when people start seeing past the performance, when even her circle starts to slip away, it's no longer just a breakup. It's exposure. Exactly 3 days after I canceled the venue, My phone lit up with a number I didn't recognize. I let it ring twice before answering. Hello. Hi. This is Clarissa's mother. Her voice was tight but controlled. I braced for impact, expecting her to unleash, to accuse me of humiliating her daughter, ruining the wedding, backing out without honor. But instead, she sighed deeply and said, I just want to understand what happened. I told her everything. Calmly. Factually. The $300,000 demand. The exact words her daughter used. How I didn't yell, didn't insult. I simply refused to go into lifelong debt for one day of vanity. And how, when I declined, she gave me a choice. Pay or lose her. There was a long silence on the line. Then her voice cracked just slightly. She told us a different version. But this sounds more like her. She wasn't angry. She was tired. Tired of her daughter's patterns, tired of the entitlement, tired of watching her chase luxury over loyalty. And for the first time, I felt something strange. Pity. Not for Clarissa. For her mother. Because even she knew the truth. I didn't call off a wedding. I dodged a disaster. And that call? It wasn't about saving the event. It was about admitting someone finally told her daughter no, and meant it. Her mom tried to reason with me. She softened her voice, tried to paint the picture of a daughter who was just emotional, just stressed, just wants everything to be perfect. I listened respectfully. But deep down, I was done negotiating with anyone who thought love had a price tag. So I gave her the truth, plainly. I'm not buying someone's love. And I'm definitely not going into debt to prove it. There was a pause. A heavy one. I continued, if she needed a $300,000 wedding to feel loved, then this was never about us. It was about showing off. I don't want a marriage built on performance. I want one built on partnership. And if that's too small for her, then she was never big enough for me. She didn't argue. Because how could she? What do you say to a man who refused to be emotionally blackmailed, who finally drew a line not out of spite, but out of self-worth? She just sighed. A tired, weary sound like someone who finally saw the crash coming, but too late to stop it. I didn't hang up with anger. I hung up with peace. Because saying no wasn't just the end of a wedding. It was the beginning of my freedom. It always happens the same way. The moment they realize control is gone, they start rewriting the story. She texted me 3 days after her mom's call. The tone had shifted. Gone were the passive-aggressive jabs and Instagram quotes. Now it was, maybe I overreacted. Then, we can scale it down. The wedding doesn't matter as much as you do. Too little. Way too late. I didn't even have to think about it. Because while she was busy calculating damage control, I had already started rebuilding my life, without her. I had canceled our joint accounts, removed her from my emergency contacts, taken her off my future plans. I wasn't mourning anymore. I was healing. The sad part? She didn't come back because she missed me. She came back because she missed the control. The attention. The illusion of a perfect life she could curate, if only I'd fund it. But I had changed. By the time she tried to reverse her ultimatum, I'd already found peace in simplicity, purpose in honesty, and power in walking away. She thought her regret would pull me back. But regret only works on someone still standing at the door. I'd already walked through it, and locked it behind me. In the end, there was no wedding. No extravagant ceremony. No overpriced floral arch or champagne tower. Just a quiet Saturday morning, sipping coffee in my apartment, with peace echoing louder than any marching band could have played. There was no debt. No second mortgage, no drained savings, no years of financial recovery for a single day of showmanship. My credit stayed clean. My spirit stayed clear. And most importantly, I didn't have to sell pieces of my future to impress guests I barely knew. But most surprising of all, there was no regret. Not a shred. Because walking away didn't feel like loss. It felt like choosing myself for the first time in a long time. I didn't abandon love. I rejected a transaction disguised as devotion. I didn't cancel a wedding. I prevented a lifetime of imbalance. She kept posting for a while, trying to twist the story. But her narrative faded fast. People moved on. And so did I. Now, when people ask me about the almost marriage, I don't wince. I smile. Because I didn't get the wedding she wanted. I got the life I deserved. And sometimes, no is the most loving word you'll ever say to yourself.